All right, so get ready because
Yeah.
we're diving deep into the world of Van Halen.
Oh, yeah.
But not the way you might think.
Not just the music.
Not just the music.
Oh.
We're going deep with Alex Van Halen's memoir.
Brothers.
Brothers.
It's so good.
It's raw and personal.
Very personal.
It's the band, the music, and just that wild ride they had.
From the drummer's seat.
Straight from the drummer's perspective.
What I think is so cool about this book is he doesn't just like dish out the dirt, you know?
Right.
It's not like bragging about the good times or whatever.
It's a tell-all.
No. It's really like this intimate look at their relationship.
Especially with Eddie.
Right? You really get that sense of their connection.
It's like you're like a fly on the wall.
Yeah, totally. Like you're in the room with them.
Yeah. And it's not just about that brotherly bond.
Yeah.
It's also about their families, their struggles.
Their personal lives.
How they navigated that insane world of rock and roll.
And the book starts with this really powerful image of Alex with Eddie.
In his final moments.
Yeah.
So you understand the depth of their connection right away.
Right from the start, you get it.
And the impact of Eddie's loss.
Sets the stage for the whole thing.
Really does.
Yeah.
And speaking of journeys.
Okay.
Their story begins way before.
Way before.
The screaming fans and the stadium tours.
Yeah.
They were actually born in the Netherlands.
Can you imagine?
I know.
These rock icons in the Netherlands.
Starting out in a totally different world.
I know. And their dad was a professional musician.
Yeah.
He was playing gigs all over Europe.
Wow.
And then World War II hits.
Oh.
And he was forced to play German propaganda songs.
Wow.
By the Nazis.
Talk about heavy start.
I know.
To a musical career.
For real.
You could really see how those early experiences shaped their work ethic.
Shaped their perspective on life.
Yeah, their outlook on life.
Yeah.
But eventually the family decides to take a leap of faith.
Come to America.
And immigrate to America.
Can you picture little Alex and Eddie?
No.
Barely speaking English.
Landing in Pasadena, California.
Pasadena.
Total culture shock.
It gets even crazier.
What?
Shortly after they arrive, their dad ends up in jail.
Wait, what happened?
There was this mix-up.
Right.
A language barrier thing.
Okay.
And he was wrongly accused of having marijuana.
Oh, no.
Imagine the fear
I know.
and confusion for those young boys.
That is insane.
It's wild.
But through all those challenges, music remained a constant.
Absolutely. It was their thing.
Yeah.
They started with classical piano training.
Oh, wow.
They even won some competitions.
Really?
You can see how their mom was trying to guide them towards a more traditional path.
Right. A respectable career.
Exactly. And then, bam.
The British invasion hits.
Like a switch flips.
Yeah.
Suddenly it's all about rock and roll, guitars, and drums.
And they weren't just listening.
No.
They were playing.
Yeah.
Alex talks about their first gig.
Playing their elementary school graduation.
Oh, that's cute.
But they secretly took another gig beforehand just to get some practice.
No way. Seriously.
Seriously.
That's dedication.
Dedicated.
What happened when the school found out?
Oh, it was chaos.
I bet.
They tried to stop them. Worried they'd steal the show.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It's such a funny story.
I love that.
It really shows their rebellious spirit.
Even as kids.
Even as kids.
So we've got these two immigrant kids.
Obsessed with rock and roll.
Yeah.
Setting their teeth in the clubs of Pasadena.
How did they go from playing those school gigs to becoming Van Halen?
It's a wild ride, let me tell you.
Okay.
They went through different band names.
Okay.
Played in some shady clubs.
Uh-huh.
They even worked with this guy who called himself the godfather of rock and roll.
The godfather of rock and roll.
I know.
What was this place like?
It was called Gazzari's.
Gazzari's.
And it was this crazy melting pot of up-and-coming bands.
Yeah.
All vying for their shot.
Yeah.
They played alongside some wild characters.
I bet.
Honing their skills, developing their stage presence.
Yeah.
Basically living the rock and roll dream.
Or at least the chaotic beginnings of it.
Oh, right. Exactly.
Okay, I'm picturing some legendary jam sessions.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe a few broken guitars along the way.
For sure.
Was it all about the music at Gazzari's?
Let's just say it was a very rock and roll experience.
Okay.
There were parties, wild stories,
Mm-hmm.
even some questionable DIY stagecraft.
Like what?
Alex talks about stealing floodlights for their shows.
Stealing floodlights.
Oh.
That's some next level dedication to their art.
Admitted.
What else did they get up to?
They built their own smoke bombs.
What?
Using empty cat food cans and gunpowder?
No way.
Don't try that at home, kids.
That sounds super dangerous.
Yeah.
But I guess that's part of what made Van Halen so legendary.
Totally.
They were willing to push the
The
boundaries
fearless.
and take risks.
Yep.
And all of this is before David Lee Roth enters the picture.
Yeah, before they were Van Halen.
Right.
They were Mammoth.
Mammoth, okay.
And Roth actually had a pretty different musical taste.
Really?
Can you imagine Van Halen without Roth's signature vocals?
It's hard to picture.
I know.
But what was he into?
He was more into, like, crooners.
Okay.
Like Louis Prima,
Uh-huh.
Al Jolson.
Wow.
He even wanted to wear white gloves on stage.
White gloves, that's a far cry from Jump
Right.
in Panama.
Right.
So how did he end up as the frontman for one of the biggest rock bands of all time?
You won't believe this.
What?
It was Alex who pushed for Roth to join.
Seriously?
He saw something special in Dave's energy and showmanship,
Wow.
even if their musical taste didn't quite align.
So we have Alex to thank for bringing Roth into the fold.
Pretty much.
That's amazing.
He actually jokes about taking the blame
He does.
for all the chaos that followed.
Why bet?
But you can tell there's this deep respect between them,
Yeah.
even when they were butting heads.
So they've got Roth. They're playing these marathon sets at Gazzari's.
Yeah.
They're becoming a local sensation.
Uh-huh.
What happens next? Does fame just come knocking?
Not quite.
Okay.
They were actually forced to play a lot of top 40 covers, which Alex describes as torture.
Really?
But they found ways to sneak in their own songs,
Vice.
defying the club owner
Yeah.
and giving the crowd a taste of what Van Halen was really about.
Okay, so they're playing covers, yearning to break free with their own music.
Yeah.
There's got to be a turning point coming, right?
Oh, yeah.
Some big break that changes everything.
That's where things get really interesting.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's just say a certain legendary producer walks into Gazzari's one night,
Okay.
and the rest, as they say, is history. And the rest, as they say, is history. But you know what really struck me about Alex's account of those early recording sessions?
What's that?
It's like their absolute refusal to polish their sound too much.
Really?
Like they wanted that raw,
Yeah.
live energy to come through on the record.
It's like they're saying, this is us. Take it or leave it.
Exactly.
No studio tricks, no softening the edges.
Pure Van Halen power.
Just pure Van Halen power. And it worked.
It worked.
Their debut album explodes onto the scene.
Yes.
And suddenly they're rock stars touring the world.
Selling at stadiums.
Selling out stadiums. But Alex doesn't just dwell on the highlights.
No, he doesn't.
He gets real about the challenges, too.
He does.
Even his own personal struggles.
Right. Amidst all this chaos and fame,
Yeah.
he gets married.
Oh, wow.
Twice, in fact.
Hold on, married twice?
Yeah.
I feel like we need to hear more about this.
Well, he doesn't shy away from those personal details.
Good.
He talks about his first marriage, which was pretty short-lived,
Okay.
and then meeting Stine,
Stine.
the woman who he credits with saving his life.
Wow. It sounds like she played a huge role,
She did.
especially during his struggles with addiction.
You really get this sense of her strength and her love, and how she helped him through some really dark times.
And those dark times weren't just limited to Alex.
No.
The book offers a glimpse into the complexities of Eddie's life as well,
Right.
particularly his marriage to Valerie Bertinelli
Right.
and his own battles with substance abuse.
It's tough.
There's this passage where Alex describes visiting Eddie and Valerie
Oh, yeah.
at their home studio, 5150.
5150.
And you can feel the tension.
Yeah.
You can sense that the studio became Eddie's escape,
Yeah, his refuge.
his refuge from the pressures of fame and relationships.
It's heartbreaking, you know?
It is, especially knowing how his story ends.
It makes you think about the pressure, the
Yeah.
constant demands of the industry.
The toll it took
Mhm.
on their personal lives.
That's a lot.
And as if those personal struggles weren't enough,
Right.
their relationship with David Lee Roth was starting to crack under the pressure too.
It seems like Roth was pushing for a more commercial sound,
Yeah.
while Eddie wanted to explore different musical directions. You know, get a little more experimental.
Right. Get a little weird.
That creative tension
Yeah.
is a constant undercurrent in the book.
I can imagine.
You see it come to a head during the recording of the album 1984.
Which, ironically,
Ironically,
became their biggest commercial success.
it's like that conflict fueled their creativity.
It makes you wonder what might have happened
Yeah.
if they hadn't bumped heads so much.
Right. Could they have achieve that level of success
Yeah.
without that tension?
It's a question that lingers
It really does.
long after you finish the book.
Totally. And of course, after 1984 explodes,
Right.
Roth decides to leave Van Halen.
To go solo.
What was that like for Alex and Eddie?
Yeah. What was that like?
It was a huge blow,
Yeah.
a betrayal.
Yeah.
Even Alex talks about feeling blindsided, lost and confused.
Right.
But you also sense this determination
Yeah.
to keep the legacy of Van Halen alive,
Yeah.
even without Roth.
That resilience is incredible. They could easily call it quits.
Totally.
But they bring in Sammy Hagar.
A whole new era.
And what's fascinating is how Alex's role in the band evolved.
Yeah,
He really stepped up,
he did.
became more of a leader,
Yeah,
and played a crucial role in keeping things on track.
keeping it together.
He even shares some pretty wild stories
Yeah.
about their time on the road with Hagar.
Like what?
Like the time they snuck into Graceland
No way.
and partied by Elvis's pool.
Seriously.
Alex describes it with his signature dry humor.
I can imagine.
You can just picture them,
Yeah.
drunk and rowdy,
Swimming in the king's pool.
until security chases them off.
Oh, man. Only Van Halen could pull that off.
I know, it's those little glimpses into their lives,
Yeah.
the crazy antics
The quiet moment.
that make this book so engaging.
It feels like you're right there with them.
Experiencing it all firsthand.
And through it all, you see this unwavering theme of brotherly love,
Yeah.
even when they're fighting or disagreeing.
That bond between Alex and Eddie,
It's unbreakable.
it really is. And that bond becomes even more poignant in the later chapters
Yeah.
as Alex reflects on Eddie's final years
Yeah.
and his lasting legacy.
It's powerful.
You can feel the weight of his loss,
Yeah.
but also the deep love and admiration he had for his brother.
He even talks about feeling Eddie's presence.
That's,
Like he's still there with him.
that's beautiful.
It's a beautiful and heartbreaking testament.
To their connection.
And it brings us back to the core of the book, brotherhood.
Brotherhood.
It's not just a rock and roll story.
It's a human story.
It's about family, the challenges and triumphs of a life lived on your own terms.
And the enduring power of music
Yeah,
to connect us all.
exactly.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into brothers, from those early days in the Netherlands to the heights of rock and roll stardom and everything in between.
And what's really remarkable is how Alex weaves together the personal and the professional.
Yeah.
He doesn't shy away from the tough stuff, the struggles, the conflicts.
No, he does.
But he also shows us the humor, the camaraderie, and the deep love
Yeah.
that fueled Van Halen's music.
Absolutely. He gives us this intimate glimpse into the creative process, the highs and lows of touring, and just the evolution of their sound
But it always comes back to that core relationship.
between him and Eddie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can tell that bond was something truly special.
It really was.
It went beyond music, beyond fame, beyond anything else.
Yeah.
It was this foundational element
Yeah.
that shaped who they were as individuals and as artists.
It makes you wonder how different their trajectory might have been without that shared history. You know, without that unwavering support for each other.
So many bands implode, you
Right,
know,
yeah.
because of ego clashes or creative differences.
Right. It happens all the time.
But with Alex and Eddie, there was always this underlying respect and understanding.
Even when they disagreed.
They pushed each other, they challenged each other,
Yeah.
but ultimately they had each other's backs.
And you see that reflected in the music.
Oh, absolutely.
There's this raw energy, this
Yeah.
emotional depth that comes from a place of genuine connection.
It's not just about technical skill or catchy riffs. It's about something deeper, something that resonates on a gut level.
And I think that's what makes Van Halen's music so timeless.
It really is.
It's not just about a particular era or genre.
No, it's universal.
It's about the human experience, the joys and sorrows, the struggles and triumphs that we all share.
Exactly.
So why should you care about Alex Van Halen's story?
I think it's more than just a rock and roll memoir.
Okay.
It's an invitation to look behind the curtain,
Yeah.
to see the human beings behind the legends.
It's a reminder that even rock stars face challenges,
Right.
make mistakes, and have to navigate complex relationships.
Just like the rest of us.
It's also a story about resilience,
Huh.
about finding your passion and pursuing it relentlessly,
No matter what.
even when the odds are stacked against you.
And it's about the power of family.
Yes.
Those bonds that can sustain us through the toughest of times.
Alex doesn't sugarcoat anything.
He's honest about his own shortcomings,
Yeah.
his struggles with addiction,
Uh,
his moments of doubt and despair.
but he shows us how he found strength
Yeah.
in his family, in his music, and in his unwavering belief in himself and his brother.
It's a story that will make you laugh, make you think, and maybe even make you shed a tear or two.
Yeah.
But most importantly, it will leave you with a deeper appreciation for the music of Van Halen.
And the remarkable journey of the brothers who created it.
So if you're looking for a book that will challenge you, inspire you, and entertain you,
Go check out Brothers.
you won't be disappointed.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into Alex Van Halen's Brothers.
Until next time.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep rocking.